For this section, we're going to start looking at percents and fractions. And a percent is a ratio that compares a number to 100. So percents are always over 100. So let's take a look at this first example. We have 80%, which can be written as 80 over 100, because percents are always over 100, so it's comparing that 80 to 100. And then I can simplify that to 8 over 10, which can then be simplified to 4 over 5. So you see, we've just been writing our percents as 100, and then we're simplifying it all the way down. So for this slide, we're going to write each percent as a fraction, and we're going to write that all in simplest form. So first I have 60%, so I know that a percent compares a number to 100, so I'm going to get 60 over 100, and then when I simplify that, I'm going to get 6 over 10, which gives me 3/5. For our second example of 12.5%, so I'm going to rewrite this that I have 12.5%, and I'm going to make it into an improper fraction, so I get 25 over 2. And you see that really that when I compare, it's also a way of saying I'm dividing by 100. So when I just divide by this 100, I'm going to follow my norms of keep, change, and flip. So I'm going to get 25 over 2 times 1 over 100. So I get 25 over 200, which is going to simplify to 1/8. Go ahead and pause the video, and I want you to try the next two on your own. So 40% becomes 40 over 100, which will simplify to 4 over 5, which is as far as it can go. And then 20.75% can be rewritten as 20 3/4%. So when I do that as a mixed number, I'm going to get 83 over 4 divided by 100, which becomes 83 over 4 times 1 over 100, which gives me 83 over 400, which is going to simplify, and that's as simplified as it will go. For these examples, we are still going to write them as a fraction in lowest terms, but now we have this like 0.8 or 175%. And so we still have to compare to 100. So for our first example, I'm going to get 0.8 over 100, because that's what I'm comparing. So there's my 0.8 over 100. And to get rid of that decimal, I'm going to multiply by 10, because I just have to move the decimal over 1. So to do that, I'm going to multiply by 10, which is really like multiplying by 1, because it's 10 over 10. And I'm going to get 8 over 1,000. And that's going to simplify to 1 over 1/25. So my final answer is 1 over 1/25. For 175%, I'm still comparing to 100, so I have 175 over 100, which will simplify to 7/4. And then I'm going to turn that into a mixed number. So 4 goes into 7 one time. I have 3 left over 4. So my answer is 1 3/4. Go ahead and pause the video, and I want you to try this one on your own. So I'm going to get 0.2 over 100. I'm going to multiply by 10, because I need to move over 1 decimal place to make that 2 a whole number. So I'm going to get 2 over 1,000, which is then going to simplify to 1 over 500. For 150%, I'm going to get 150 over 100, which is going to simplify to 1 1/2. For these examples, we're going to write each fraction as a percent. And since I'm always wanting to compare to 100, I can set a proportion up that will compare to quantities to 100. So if I have 4 times 25 equals 100, then I have to do 1 times 25, which will give me 25 over 100, which can then simplify to 25%, because percents are always 100. So I'm just going to take that numerator and put a percent sign with it. Go ahead and pause the video, and I want you to try these two on your own. So 5 times 20 will equal 100. So 6 times 20 is going to equal 120, which is going to equal 120%, because that's my numerator. For 7 halves, I'm going to multiply by 50 to get to 100. And 7 times 50 is going to give me 350. So my final answer is 350%. On her science quiz, Jacinda got 14 questions out of 16. Correct. Find what her grade is as a percent. So we know that we could set up a proportion that if she got 14 correct out of 16, how many would that be correct if I wanted to say I have 100? So I'm going to use my same strategy as I did my last one. So 14 times 100 gives me 1400 equals 16x. And then when I divide 1400 by 16, I'm going to get, because I have to divide by both sides to get x by itself, I'm going to get 87.5 equals x. So she got an 87.5% on her test. Go ahead and pause the video, and I want you to try this one on your own. Caitlin has practiced playing a piano 5 out of the last 8 days. What percent is this? So we're still going to use our proportion, so I'm going to have 5 out of 8 equals what over 100? So I'm going to get 500 equals 8x. And then when I divide by 8 on both sides, I'm going to get that x equals 62.5. So she practiced 62.5%.